fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up. Again, they got go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
All right, that's a good place to end it, I think. Wait, let me kill this one. We'll save that for later. All right, I hope everybody's having a good morning. I got up stupid early, like 2 o'clock. Couldn't sleep. Mine's got a lot going on. Plus, my shoulder hurt from trying to build this fence and dig 3-foot holes to pull out this concrete and these existing posts. So my old ass is not very good at that anymore. It wasn't as easy as when I put them in like 12 years ago or whatever it was. So I'm a little achy today, a little worse for the wear, but I just played that so that I could wake up, if nothing else. I hope you guys are all having a good day. We're going to start off with Tom Lee. Like I say every day, there's a lot to talk about. We probably need to talk about our separation from Canada. That's going to be a thing, but yeah, that'll be fun times. But we're going to start off with Tom, and then we'll jump into a ton of other stuff. We got economic data, we got fear and greed, we got charts galore. Let's get started, okay? So good morning to everybody that's awake so far. I know Fridays are usually not the best day for attendance. I get it. All right, so Tom today did a post comparing Trump 1.0 tariffs to what's happening now. Basically along the same timeline, checking a bunch of boxes on what we hit then, and then also kind of when the bounce was. And you can see all the checks that he put in here. He said equity markets bottomed with 219.18 first headlines and retest in 4.218. So again, roughly the same timeline, and we retested a low around 4.2. I mean, kind of seems like we're retesting the low now. Stocks skipped along the 200 moving average. If you look, that is exactly what is happening right now. If we just pull up the S&P, that's a good reflection of it. You can see where the 200 moving average is, and you can see how we kind of got up here and then broke down again. And, again, we'll probably test back up. We actually have the .618 fib underneath of us. And if you look at a smaller time frame, we have peak volumes pretty close here too. So again, checks those boxes, right? And then the VIX peaked at 50. That's another check. We look like we're coming down on the VIX. And then the AAII sentiment bottomed at negative 17. We had an incredibly low number on that. And then the Conference Board 2-month stock pessimism index, we checked that box too, with actually the worst read in 40 years. So that and many other things are telling us that we are set up for a strong run. And that was the focus that Tom was putting out today, saying that he believes that we're still getting a strong run up and a V-shaped recovery that will happen before 4.2. All right. Also, I want to cover a couple other things. I did a post about Argentina's economic activity. Again, I talked about this yesterday, but in a year, little over a year, they've done amazing things with their economy. Now they've got a reading here on economic activity that's 6.5%. It's the highest number since June of 2022, which is pretty incredible. And again, I think this is just a precursor of what's coming for us. I did want to speak yesterday. Again, I took off before 10 a.m. Central Time. So the Kansas Fed Manufacturing and Composite Index came out. And if we look at the manufacturing index, we were expecting a reading of negative 14 for the forecast, and we got 1. And I think that's a testament to the fact that the manufacturing sector is actually stronger than people think it is in the United States. And I believe that's only going to get better. And then if we look at the composite for that, it was negative 2. And the forecast on it was negative 6. So again, a better reading than expected on both of these metrics. And the negative 2 is actually the only reading better than that is from August of 2023. We had a couple other times where we hit negative 2. But this is it's going back to August of 2023. A year and a half ago is the last time we had a reading that was better than this. I think that says a lot too. Now we have other economic data too. We're seeing a slowing of inflation expectations in France and Spain, which says a lot, I think. And I don't know if we're going to see that today. So we've got core PCE price index. That's probably going to be one of the big ones. Personal income spending, and again, Michigan related data. So we got a lot of data coming out today. It looks like some of it 7:30 to 9 o'clock, about the usual. And I should be here till 9 to get the final read on it. But this data will be very important, I think, for the short term. I do think that there's a lot of pessimism in the core and the PCE price index already built in, expecting bad news. So if it's better than expectation, I think that'll be very interesting. I don't know though. This is February related data. So to me, these prices could be a little bit higher. It would be a bonus to have them be lower, but they could be a little bit higher. And the reason for that being is just people trying to get a lot of purchases in before any kind of tariff impact, artificially driving some of these numbers higher. So that's just my take. Mexican unemployment rate just came in 2.5%. Previous was 2.7. Consensus 2.6 and forecast 2.5. So right in line. Nothing too interesting there. We also, again, at 7:30 have GDP data from Canada. That should be fascinating. That should be an interesting read as well. And I'm going to say this again. This fear and greed index is right near extreme fear, which is fascinating. Again, we had our worst read going all the way back to, I think it was October of 2022. September of 2022, actually. That, let's see here. Yeah, did we get worse than that? Yeah, so September of 2022. So that was our worst drop since then on the fear and greed index. And I think that's very indicative of what's coming next in regard to the economy. Morning. Good morning, BTC scaring people out. Yeah, maybe. I actually think this is, so there's a CME gap too that we might be filling here. It's around the 84,000 range. I could see us test that since that's peak volume. If you look down at the bottom corner, you'll see the little red horizontal line. That is peak volumes on this local time frame, okay? So if we look here, if I zoom in a little bit, then we get this upper range, then it's not there. But I mean, that's peak volume over the last couple of months, essentially, sitting underneath of us. And it also marks the CME gap, and it's a higher low, and it still means that we could bounce up. I did a post, I'd like to see us get back to the 200 moving average, which is that little amber brownish line that's on the screen there. I would like to see us close near that level, and I think it's possible. But let's keep going here. So I want to start off with DOGE because there's so much craziness about government efficiency right now that came out from this interview with Elon yesterday and some other interviews with liberal talk show hosts. We'll cover that in a second. But appeals court halts judge order requiring Musk to hand over DOGE records. That's great. It's another win. Now, again, we got a bunch of little clips here, so we're going to play them out. We're going to let Elon talk to them.
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. From a nominal deficit of $2 trillion to try to cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion, or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. At a high level, you should think of this as we want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
So again, the narrative on the left is that they're going to go after your Social Security, they're going to go after your Medicare, they're going to go after your Medicaid, they're going to go after everything. And in fact, what they're doing is the opposite of that. They're making everything better. This is breaking. Elon Musk and DOGE team revealed that 40% of all phone calls to the Social Security Administration are fraudsters. This is unacceptable. They're trying to steal people's Social Security. Let's listen to this next clip.
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. Was the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
$1 billion for a $10,000 Survey Monkey query trying to find out if citizens of the United States, I mean citizens or not, whatever, if they like national parks. Now listen to the rest of this.
For just the survey.
$1 billion for a simple online survey, do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like,
so a survey to nowhere, no feedback on it, and it could be done for $10,000, and they charged $1 billion. That's the federal government in a nutshell.
For you, what's...
Let's listen to some more insanity. This one's fucking crazy. This one will blow your mind.
Smith, working at HHS, and obviously another element is Medicare and Medicaid, NIH. What are you finding?
Yeah, well, I'd say there's a couple of things we're really committed to in our work at HHS. Number one, making sure we continue to have the best biomedical research in the world. And number two, making sure, which President Trump has said over and over again, that we 100% protect Medicare and Medicaid. But there's a lot of opportunity. So if I take NIH as an example, today, if
just NIH.
If you're an NIH researcher and you get a $100 grant at your university, today you get to spend 60 of that and your university spends 40 of that. The policy that we're proposing to make is that you get to spend 85 of that and your university spends 15. So that's more money going directly to the scientists who are discovering new cures. Another example at NIH is today they have 27 different centers. They got created over time by Congress, and they're typically by disease state or body system. There's 700 different IT systems today at NIH.
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems. They can't speak to each other.
So they don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about...
All right, so let's just go over that real quickly. So just for NIH, there are 700 different systems, IT-related technical systems, with 27 chief information officers in just the NIH. What the fuck? It gets worse. We got more.
Making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
Correct.
And most of them are non-technical.
So there's a lot
Non-technical, so these are just administrators.
out there.
There's a lot of opportunity. It will make science better, not worse.
And when I say that our job is tech support, I really mean it.
Yeah.
We have to fix the computers. If the computers can't talk to each other, you can't get research done. If the computers can't stay online, people won't receive their Social Security. So what we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits, that are preventing people from preventing research from happening, that are extremely vulnerable to fraud, and we're fixing it.
And does that include AI? Does that include kind of changing the system overall? That's, I guess, what people are afraid.
All right, I wish the clip would have ended a little bit better. There's the full interview. You guys should watch it. It's really, really brilliant. I got another clip here, and then we got two more clips, and then we're gonna move on to some other stuff here too that will blow your fucking mind.
And do you guys all see this as a patriotic duty? I mean, is that really what this is about?
It's essential.
Very much.
I do, 100%. I was running.
Keep in mind, these are all CEOs of like major companies, and they've basically stepped away from their duties to be able to help. This guy back here in the tie, the second from the left, he's the Airbnb CEO who's fixing the retirement process and digitizing over 400 million documents. And I don't even know what time frame that's over. There are pallets of documents, just in some cases for one person. It's fucking insane. Here's another guy that's getting ready to talk too. But these are brilliant businessmen that have devoted their time to save this country.
5 businesses in Houston, and I left that. I left great people to do this, and my wonderful wife said, "Go for it," and here I am. But I feel like this is me giving back to the country.
If we don't do this, we're sunk. The ship, unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink. That's why.
All right, here's one more here, and then I think we're on to the really good stuff, to where you get to hear how the Biden administration functioned.
Might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day,
that's no small statement.
America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future.
All right. Oh, and this is funny. So here's the takeaway from CNN. Musk appears with all-male DOGE team for first interview. So these guys immediately care about the DEI requirements of what's going on with the federal government, not all the inefficiency. It's so clear how horrible this previous administration was and how just off base and out of alignment with society, with this society, the Democratic Party is, which is why their approval rating is just plummeting and plummeting and plummeting. Now, this is funny. This is Jon Stewart. This is Jon Stewart listening to how the program or how a program was working with the federal government under the Biden administration. This is for broadband internet. I'm going to subject you to 5 minutes of this because you have to fucking hear it. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit, but this will blow your fucking mind. Just think about every vendor. If you guys have worked for different companies, think about every vendor, every company you've ever worked with. Maybe it was your own company that was just absolute shit at their job and would create work to have work, to create work, to have work, to create work, to have work. That is what our federal government is. And it was the worst case scenario under Biden. You could even see Jon Stewart. This man has to come around eventually. Otherwise, he's just a political hack. Because if he can listen to this and then listen to what DOGE was just talking about, he has to be honest and intellectually honest about who is better for the country right now.
We have to issue the notice of finding opportunity within 180 days. That's step one. Step two, which all 56 state applicants completed, is states who want to participate must submit a letter of intent after they...
Again, this is the process to get broadband internet. This is what they were doing. Listen to this. It will blow your fucking mind.
do that. They can submit a request for up to $5 million in planning grants. Then the NTIA, step 4, has to review and approve and award, again, planning grants, not broadband grants, planning grants.
And it's still at the NTIA. It's still at the first step.
All right, so the NTIA must issue a NOFO within 180 days. States who want to participate must submit their letter of intent. Step 3, they can request up to $5 million in planning grants.
Just planning.
Just planning. Step 4, the requests are reviewed, approved, and awarded by the NTIA, which currently all 56, 3 years later, all 56 applicants had passed through at least step 5. It took more than 3 years. So it's a long time.
3 years, step 5. We're not done yet. This is to get broadband, okay? Listen to this. This will blow your fucking mind. We got 4 minutes left.
States must submit a 5-year action plan. So the states kind of go back and they kind of think about how they're going to do this. And they don't just say, okay, thank you for the money. We're going to spend it and you can see how it worked out later. We're like, here's our 5-year action plan. Then the FCC must
look
publish
at John's
the
face.
Broadband data maps before NTIA allocates funds. So having done the NOFO, the letters of intent, the request for planning grants, then the review, approval, and awarding of the planning grants, then the 5-year action plans. In between that, the federal government has to put forward a map saying where it thinks we need rural broadband subsidies. And then, of course, the states need an opportunity to challenge the map for accuracy. And you can imagine this doesn't all happen in like a day. Okay. So then the NTIA, step 7, has to use the FCC maps to make allocation decisions. Then, having already done their letter of intent, their request for planning grants, it's hard even to talk about this, man. Step 7 is NTIA must use the FCC maps that were already challenged for allocation decisions. Then, having submitted all this, I think this one is actually quite amazing. Yeah. Having submitted their 5-year plans or letters of intent, step 8 is states must submit an initial proposal to the NTIA. Then...
Is that the result of their $5 million planning fund?
That's after the 5-year forecast, too, of what they're doing.
I assume, but then what was the 5-year plan?
And what the fuck did they apply for? What was their NOFO?
Like, if the 5-year action plan isn't the initial proposal, then what's the 5-year action plan?
Forget NOFO. Okay. MOFO.
Step 9, NTIA must review and approve each state's, again, initial proposal.
This is to get broadband. This is why nobody has broadband internet, for something that we spent billions and billions of dollars on.
By my read, we have had at least 2 initial proposals here, but
this is the entire government.
Step 10, states must publish their own map and allow internal challenges to their own map. So the government has published a map. They have invited the states to challenge the map. Then states have submitted initial proposals, and they have to publish their own map and allow challenges.
Wait, who's challenging it within the state?
well, organized interest groups, environmental groups, like I don't know who specifically, but literally anybody. This is, I want to say something because it's very important I say this. This is the Biden administration's process for its own bill. They wanted this to happen.
Yeah, this wasn't to slow them down. This is their process.
This is how liberal government works now.
This is something they instituted for this bill.
For their bill. This is a bill passed by Democrats with a regulatory structure written by Democratic administration. Okay.
Right.
Step 11. The NTIA.
Look at this. You could see how pained Jon Stewart is even having to listen to this.
Must review and improve the challenge results and the final map. So the NTIA has put forward a map. The states
Look
have
at him. He's just giving up
the states have put forward their maps, had other challenges. And now the NTIA must review and approve the challenges to the state maps. Okay. So we've done step 11. NTIA must review and approve challenge results and final map.
This is years in.
Of the applicants at that point. Step 12. States must run a competitive sub-granting process.
Oh my fucking God. At step 12, after all this has been done.
Yeah, none of that could have happened along the way here. We have now lost 17 more applicants. So now 30 of 56 have completed step 12. Step 13, states must submit a final proposal. All the proposals weren't enough to NTIA. Now that goes to 3 of 56. So we've gone in the last couple of steps from 56 had gone to this point to 3 of 56. Step 14, the NTIA must review and approve.
Have you ever had a meeting like this? I've worked for some companies that were just absolutely full of shit, and then also worked with vendors that were full of shit. I've had meetings like this, and it's really hard to stay sober.
The state's final proposal, and that is 3 of the 56 jurisdictions and states are there. In summary, states are nearly at the finish line. And it says to stop their progress now, or worse, and make them go backwards, would be a stick in the spokes of the most promising broadband deployment plans we have ever seen. End of scene.
I'm speechless. Honestly, it's far worse than I could have imagined. But the fact that they amputated their own legs on this is what's so stunning.
We have to issue.
So again, this is how the Biden administration is run for everything. This is what we were dealing with. So when you guys get upset with Trump, and I know Trump, he let go, what's his name, from Nikola, the CEO from Nikola. That's absurd, and I have no idea why he did it. I can't justify it at all. But if you guys get frustrated with some of the tariff talk and some of these other things that are going on, just remember, we are blessed with the government we have in power right now. So don't talk too much shit, because it could be a lot worse. All right, real quickly, last thing on DOGE, we're going to listen to Robert F. Kennedy talk about Elon and his help, and then also, too, how they're not cutting Medicare and Medicaid services.
We're not going to cut.
Then we'll move on to other things. It's a little rough with his voice, of course.
Services. We're not going to cut Medicaid. We're not going to cut Medicare. We're going to continue. We're going to provide services, but more efficiently. We have, thanks to Elon, and by the way, what Elon did with our agency is going to help our agency. So I'm very grateful to him he came in for the first time with a real org chart for the agency.
This is also crazy. What we just heard, guys, is the entirety of the bureaucratic machine under the liberal agenda. It is very much just that's how it works. And you're right, Martin Pilda. It's so complicated because at each step you have to skim some off the top and make sure that you're patting the appropriate hands. It's just fucking absurdity. And again, just gross negligence and inefficiency. Incompetent people. Just trying to stay employed, I think.
The agency org chart.
But listen to this, the org chart and everything else.
When I arrived was incomprehensible. There was no chain of command. There were people operating in all these different silos and fiefdoms. And they were so territorial and so self-serving that they were selling patient information to each other.
The government in the Medicare, Medicaid, Health and Human Services sector was saying, "Oh, we'll sell you the data to stuff that should be openly shared."
So I tried to get the CMS patient information, which belongs to the American people and belongs to HHS. And the sub-agencies said we have to buy it from them. And it doesn't make any sense. There are sub-agencies that refuse to give us patient data. This is depersonalized data. We need to make America healthy again. What Elon is doing is he's using AI to improve health, to improve efficiency, to improve delivery. And he had a bunch of geniuses come over to the department, create an org chart that worked, and consolidate. We have many divisions that are doing the exact same thing. We need to consolidate them and give them a sense of mission, to invite them to participate in making our country healthier again. And I think that's why we're getting, a very, very strong, enthusiastic reaction from people within the agency.
Yeah, so again, NIH, 700 different systems, 27 chief informational officers, silos, no clear org chart. Elon and his team are doing God's work to help our government, to fix our government. Trump is doing this. You be happy. There might be mistakes where Trevor Milton from Nikola gets acquitted or whatever. It's absurd, but just weigh that against the body of all the work, please. That's what I recommend. LW Crypto, I worked with one of the largest chemical companies in the world and put up with this shit. Meetings to nowhere where you go and suggest, and it goes into a file. Yeah, dude, I think we work for similar companies, my friend. But this is crazy.
We're not going to cut service.
Oh, let me kill that. This is crazy. It's absurd. It's asinine. And it's the world that we're living in. And we have to fix it. So no matter what short-term pain we have to fix it, guys. We have to. I mean, that's just the way it is. Also, right now, we've got Tesla up 1.7%. I'll probably jump into some quick Tesla. We'll switch it up and move around a little bit today. I did want to say, again, we've got this magnet, guys, pulling us towards this 320 zone where there's no trade range. And I posted about this today, but I'll show it on the daily. That's probably easier to see. We have this range right here that we're trying to break above. And again, this is like the lowest level of it, but we're getting close. And I think if we get any kind of good data in the next 9 minutes, 8.5 minutes, it's going to be very promising, and we'll probably see Tesla take off. I think people are very pessimistic right now. I mean, every indicator is showing us this. And I don't think the sky is falling. I don't. People might think that for a little bit longer, but I don't think it's true. Trevor has a documentary coming out. I'm definitely intrigued by his version of the facts. I want to see it. I think he's an utter fraud. So, but I'll watch it. What the fuck? Marquis, why is there only 51 likes when there's 796 people watching? That's a great question, Mark. I like the way you're thinking. Gnome, Jesse, assuming we're entering a world of unlimited number of robots, how does that impact the global labor supply when labor becomes free for everyone? How does it impact global trade? It'll be a net positive. And this is the thing I'm trying to convince people of. It seems like people are like, oh my God, everybody's going to lose their job and it's going to destroy. Wow, Tesla's up 3.4%. What just happened? All right, whatever. So this is the thing I'm trying to teach people, though, is like, if we have the ability to print labor and increase labor, and that's going to lower the cost for everybody, and it's going to make society richer. You just have to, it's just math. So everyone will become richer and have greater access to things. Whether it's something like a UBI, Universal Basic Income Program, or whether or not pay just ends up going up for other people, you'll have governments adjust. You'll definitely have disruption. There's going to be massive disruption. People that will have jobs and lose them, people that adapt quickly, that integrate AI into their routines, people that are downloading Grok and using these tools and trying to figure out what they can do for them. They benefit from that stuff. Like people like Amit, I think, are really good at that. So I see people that can adapt doing well. People that don't will suffer. But everybody gets richer from this. Everybody gets richer from it. As long as we don't destroy ourselves in the process, right? And with war and everything else, all the stupidity of man. But again, there's some beautiful stuff sitting in front of us. Real quickly, I might actually just jump to the Trump stuff fast because there's just so much going on. On a good note, the EU looks like they're going to limit the fines they were planning on imposing towards Apple and Meta. So that's 2 of the Magnificent 7 that should be doing a little bit better today. So we'll see how that ends up. But again, this is because of Trump, right? Not this is good, and it's because of Trump. Also, in regard to voting, Tucker Carlson exposes U.S. Congress passed a loophole to allow illegal migrants. There's a line in there that says non-citizens can vote without penalty if at the time they're voting, they believe themselves to be U.S. citizens. They don't have to be. So that's interesting. We probably need to close that. Also, Zachary Tisdale, a Canadian, says Trump is exposing the Canadian government as a hostile entity. This is being done for the American public so they understand the reason behind the tariffs. America cannot have a failing communist country on its unprotected northern border. It's a matter of U.S. national security. This is coming from a Canadian. And Mark Reed, another Canadian. So let me get this straight. Mark Carney, severs all ties with the United States. That's what he's talking about doing. We can show you a video of that. Canada has 63,000 troops that have to borrow gear from the U.S. In most events. The USA has protected Canada because we're their neighbors. So basically, we are now defenseless, but we have tampons in the men's bathroom, ripe for the picking. I would agree. Also, in regard to these tariffs, let's just listen to this real quick because this is important. And thank you for whoever shared this earlier.
I can't believe I'm breaking this news story, but here we are. Mark Carney and the Liberals.
And you know she's Canadian. You can just tell by her voice.
And the media lied about Donald Trump's 25% auto tariffs, and I will prove that to you right now. So this is what the actual White House fact sheet says. Importers will be able to certify their U.S. content, and the 25% tariff will only apply to the non-U.S. portion of vehicles. So if you're building cars in Canada or Mexico with mostly American parts, you are exempt under the USMCA deal. And let's get this, the new tariff doesn't even kick in until the U.S. sets up a process to measure non-U.S. content. That means that there is no automatic tariff on Canadian cars. There is no job losses, unless, of course, companies jumped the gun on that one. And there is also no crisis, unless you are importing EV batteries from China, which is the actual target.
And you know China's the target on almost everything we're doing. I hope you guys know that, right? I hope you know that. I think I talk about this enough.
Not Canada.
China is the thing that we're most worried about. I mean, Europe is kind of turning into a communist regime too, but we still have time to thwart that. China's the big player in the room that we're trying to deal with.
I just refreshed CTV and CBC, and none of them have corrected their stories here. And Mark Carney and liberals are saying that Trump is attacking Canada, that this is a war on Canada's auto sector, and it is total BS. The White House fact sheet literally says the 25% tariff will not apply across the board. It says that USMCA compliant auto parts are also tariff-free, and it also says that there is no immediate tariff. So why exactly is the media and the liberal government clearly ignoring the very obvious exemption under the USMCA deal? This isn't even an attack on Canada. This is about targeting Chinese, European, and other not North American content that's inside of vehicles. Now, why would they do this? Well, in the last week alone, the whole Ghislaine Maxwell situation and Mark Carney has been brought up again.
Oh, I got a video with that from Canada.
So has Mark Carney and all of his tax haven offshore bank accounts to avoid paying Canadian taxes. So this is very obviously a media manipulation to paint Trump as dangerous to Canada, to make you hate Donald Trump over something that Donald Trump isn't even doing to Canada. Mark Carney and the media allies are manufacturing a crisis to create fear and also shift a narrative. And if I was able to find out this information by reading the fact sheet, I'm pretty sure they know it too.
Yeah, just insane. So this is funny. So this is separate. So true. NPR says they'll strive to feature a broad range of opinions from slightly communist to very communist. And they're going away. I don't know if I played the video on it. Cole, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. Mikkel says, can we be a little less liberal with the word communist? Yeah, no, not when it comes to Canada, not when it comes to Europe and the things that are going on right now. I think anytime you have governments that are willing to censor free speech, and again, imprison people for crimes that they didn't really commit while letting existing crimes go, and again, just pushing towards authoritarianism. We should call it what it is, and it's communism. It's communism. I mean, it is. It is. Secretary Doug Burgum says energy production in the Gulf of America is unlocking over $350 million in funds for Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. This is great. So again, we're working on getting energy prices down, and that is what we'll see in the days and months and quarters ahead. Governor Tate Reeves, again, we've got conservative states also doing amazing things right now. Oh, 1 minute to the PCE, 30 seconds. We'll have to come back to this. Thank you for putting me in check, Danny. Appreciate you. All right, let's take a look. Let's refresh here real quick. This will be good. Hopefully. We still have, oh no, that was TSLL. No wonder. I moved Tesla over, so that makes sense. So I thought Tesla was up 3.3%, but in actuality, it was TSLL. All right, let me get over here. That makes more sense. I was like, how did it jump? I'm talking about all kinds of countries, Mikhail. England is but one of them. But again, there's all kinds of things happening across Europe that are very sketchy right now, and most of it is being sponsored by the European Union. Core PCE, we got 0.4%. That's going to be hot. Consensus was 0.3. Forecast was 0.2. Personal income was 0.8. That is much higher than expected. Let me just clear out some of these windows. I hate it when they do this. So income's good. Fascinating. All right, let's look at all this, though. So we have a hotter inflation number at core. We have income looking good. It's more than double the percent of rate that they thought it was going to be. Personal spending 0.4%, so it was slightly underneath. So people have more money, but they're not spending it. PCE price index month over month 0.3, that came in line. PCE price year over year 2.5%. So core is hot, but the regular PCE came in line, both on the monthly and yearly. Let's see what the PCE for the year over year, 2.8%, which is slightly higher than the 2.7 and the 2.6. So we've got good personal income data, and then we've got core data that's coming in hot, and then PCE that's coming in fine within expectations. So this is interesting. So far, Tesla's still doing all right, 1.41%. I don't see the rest of the market really doing anything crazy yet. So we'll see which way we go. We still got Michigan data coming out at 9. Mikhail says, and it's authoritarianism, not automatically communism. It's close enough for me, man. So here's what I see. I'm giving my personal opinion. It's my fucking channel. So let me just throw this out here. I see governments across Europe idolizing China for years. And I saw it across the United States. I see it across Canada right now. Where China can do no wrong. We liked the authoritarian moves of them locking down for COVID. All that stuff was promoted by the liberal ideology and the World Economic Forum types, right? That China, and again, China has a propaganda department for a reason. They put out all this stuff. They pay for videos of YouTubers to be able to go over there and talk about how great it is. They idolize communism. And then I see people that are firebombing fucking Teslas who literally back pro-Palestinian movements and the Communist Party. And then I see liberal universities that have communist wings, including in Canada, where these kids are promoting communism in their colleges. And it just, I'm going to call it communism. When your ideology aligns with communism and they're calling it communism, I'm going to call it communism. So there we go. You can have a separate view of that. I don't give a shit, but I will call it what I believe it to be. All right, let's keep going. Trump. We did it. Mississippi just eliminated their income tax. So conservative states, unlike liberal ones, that are adding taxes and that are giving free health care to illegal immigrants and giving college educations to illegal immigrants and giving housing to illegal immigrants and letting their cities burn down like Palisades in California, and then only issuing, 4 or 5 building permits out of 30,000 places that burnt down. So it's a little fucking crazy, but here we go. we got another state doing the right things. So you got the conservatives trying to do the right things, trying to be pro-growth, and you got the liberal parties just destroying everything. Libs of TikTok, just in, Secretary of Education Linda McMahon sent a letter to Governor Gavin Newsom demanding that he inform California schools to comply with federal law and keep males out of female private spaces in sports. Failure to do so will result in loss of funding. We're going to probably see a lot of that. And here's Elon. This is another part of that interview with Elon talking about, this is kind of important. I'm going to play it. Let's just let him say what he's going to say.
You know, a lot is coming your way, but sometimes you say stuff or post stuff that gets attention. You give it out, in other words. Democratic Arizona Senator Mark Kelly posted on X about his trip to Ukraine to push for continuing to send U.S. weapons and support there, and you posted that he was a traitor. Well, why do that?
Well, I think somebody should care about the interests of the United States above the interests of another country. And if they don't, they're a traitor.
Yeah, but he's a decorated veteran, a former astronaut, a sitting U.S. senator.
It doesn't mean it's okay for him to put the interests of another country above America.
Obviously, there are some Republicans who think supporting Ukraine is the right thing still. But
like a dog
there's a
there or
battle
something.
back and forth about how
This part's
how do you
important.
think it comes to an end?
I don't know why there's a dog there.
Well, I think there will be a negotiated peace. And the thing that we should be concerned about is we should have empathy for the thousands of people that are dying every day in trenches, for no movement in the lines. So the borders remain the same. For the past 2 years, thousands of people have died every week for nothing. For what? And I take great
No, it's a dog.
offense at those who put the appearance of goodness over the reality of it. Those who virtue signal and say, oh, we can't give in to Russia, but have no solution to stopping thousands of kids dying every day. They just want that to continue forever. I have contempt for such people. I don't want to make that clear.
Yeah. So you're optimistic.
Because they're virtue signaling, and their lack of a solution means that kids don't have a father. It means that parents lost a son. For what?
To save face, to be able to point the blame all at Russia, to be able to say Russia the bad guy, we should go after him. Not that Putin's a good person at all, but again, they're in Europe, they're trying to escalate the conflict. They're trying to start a more progressive, war towards Russia, which is insanity when you're talking about nuclear weapons. They're talking about survival kits in case there's a nuclear attack. Like, why escalate it? Why isn't this war just ending? Why don't we end this war? Why try to prolong it? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. The White House, making Washington the greatest capital in the world. So this is awesome. So the White House wants to take over Washington, D.C., clean it up, renovate it, rebuild the Capitol, and make it to where you don't have to worry about getting murdered. I think this is a positive thing. You guys tell me in chat if you do. Mario Knopfel said Trump administration threatens to block foreign students at pro-Hamas colleges. This is awesome. He said the Trump administration may decertify U.S. universities from hosting any foreign students if they're linked to pro-Hamas. So think Columbia and UCLA amongst others. Under Rubio's catch and revoke program, 300-plus student visas have already been revoked in just 3 weeks. So all these people that are just rioting and doing all this stupid shit, they're going to go away. But it says Columbia and UCLA are among schools under review, with the Department of Justice and State Department eyeing grand jury subpoenas and mass visa shutdowns. So they might literally just end their foreign student programs at these universities if they don't do a good job complying. I think that's fucking great. More power to them. You guys let me know what you think in chat. Here we go. Here's a black man who won a race talking about, I don't know, a lot of things that liberals seem to love to talk about.
They've also gotten away with painting the Republican Party as being racist. And then someone like me comes around, decides to...
See, that's funny. So real quick, JC said, I don't think people in Europe want to prolong the war. Rather, they're afraid that Russia will continue further into European countries if they're allowed to. So that's hilarious to me, because I also hear people in Europe talk about how pathetic Russia is and how they couldn't even take Ukraine, and yet they have this concern that Russia will just keep going further. How does Russia keep going further if there's a fucking ceasefire? If there's a fucking ceasefire, how does Russia keep going further? Can somebody tell me? I don't get it. And again, I'm all for other countries that are bordered along Russia. If they want to lay out a bunch of mines, if they want to do a bunch of things to secure their borders, I think that's probably smart, right? Vladimir Putin isn't a good guy. But Russia didn't even take, in a period of like, what? How many years has it been now? Didn't even take a third of Ukraine. So what is the worry? What is the worry? It seems irrational to me to talk about bringing nuclear weapons closer to the border to be able to attack Russia, and putting people from Europe, from the UK, from other parts of Europe, militarily in that region, so that not only are, if anything goes wrong, that you're going to be fighting all of Europe now and killing other European citizens and escalating the war more. Makes no fucking sense to me. I actually like Putin's idea about having the UN go in there and then also work to hold elections. Doesn't that seem like a decent idea? When I listened to him say that, and then I looked at the comments, all I saw were Ukrainian and European people being like, "Oh, fuck him. We got him on the ropes, yada yada yada. They're winning, and that's why this is happening." None of them talked about like, "Hey, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we should have a vote and end this war." No, nobody in the comments said that. All these Ukrainian flags were like, "Fuck it, let's go to war," and all these European flags were like, "Fuck them. Let's keep killing people at 1,000+ people every fucking week." So I don't know, man. I don't see a lot of Europeans that are trying to end this. I see America trying to do it. I would think that it would be in your best interest to do it too. All right, so let's listen to him real quick here. One sec.
They've also gotten away with painting the Republican Party as being racist. And then someone like me comes around, decides to run for Congress. In the general election, I beat out a white guy by 30 points. And it's a white majority district. And they voted for me overwhelmingly. And why? Because I was the best candidate. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's literally what our party is. I get to wake up every day and live Martin Luther King's dream. I'm literally being judged by the content of my character, not by the color of my skin. I don't even view myself as black or African American. First of all, I'm an American. I'm a combat veteran. I am a father. I am a West Point graduate. I'm an Ivy League graduate. And we can go all the way down the line before I get to black guy.
I'm a cool guy.
I try to be, right? I try to be. I'm all these things. And I like the idea of our party not playing identity politics anymore, and then realizing that you see people like me, you see people like Byron Donalds, you see people like Senator Scott. We are all winning in white majority areas, by the way.
Yeah, and here's the great part is, he's not our token black guy. And we're not like, "Oh, look, we got a black guy." It's like, he's just great. He's just great. And that's what we should be doing. Just like J.D. Vance talking in front of the Marines the other day, indicating that he doesn't care about your race or any of that. He doesn't care about where you come from, what your race is. What he wants to know is that you're exceptional and that you love this country and that you want to work hard for it. And that's what we should be doing. That's what we should be doing. But this video I'll show you from Tim Waltz, the Democrats are far from that. Martin Pilda, I'm in Europe. I don't want the war to continue. I'm not afraid of Russia, except nukes. That's probably a good thing to be afraid of. But those have in UK soon to be a Muslim country. I'm getting more afraid of the UK becoming a Muslim country, France becoming a Muslim country with nukes than I am of Russia lately, because Russia hasn't used them, right? So Putin might be an asshole and a murderer, but he hasn't used nukes, so he's not insane. If a Muslim country has nuclear weapons, they're definitely nuking Israel, and Israel has tons of nukes. So they're going to nuke all of the Middle East, every Arab nation if that happens. I'm more worried about that kind of stuff than I am fucking Russia, honestly. We start building relationships with Russia to stop the tensions. I agree. Labango, yeah, no other European countries want to have Russia closer to their borders. Hopefully this war will end soon. Borders stay where they are. I just think we need to get past it and move on. Matthew Purdy, want to know what saves the UK? King William. Yeah, I don't know if anything saves the UK. I would like to hope that something will. We'll see. All right, let's see how our market's doing. So Tesla's retract a little bit. yeah, it looks like all the market is retracting a little bit off the slightly higher core PCE numbers. All right, so I think we got Bill Gates talking some stupid shit. I think we already talked about that the other day. Again, reminder, today, Vice President and his second lady are going to Denmark to talk to politicians there about helping them move away from Danish control. Or I'm sorry, Greenland, for moving away from Danish control with Denmark. So that'll be interesting. We'll have to see what comes from that. All right, let's get back up here. I want to jump around. I'm going to look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was dropping. It's at 85,000. Let's look at a bunch of charts about this and talk through it. So I put, according to Invest Answers Global Liquidity Indicator, this is an M2. Bitcoin was falling. So if you look up here, there's Bitcoin right up here, right? Going up. It's been doing that for the last couple of years because that's the way the cycle works. But he said going up over the last several years, even as liquidity was falling. This is global liquidity. It's not M2. So this is by his measures. Global liquidity has been ramping down, and at the same time, Bitcoin was going up. So what happens if liquidity really starts to take off? Because we have had some bumps, especially from China and other parts of Europe. They're starting to do a lot of money printing, right? While we're doing austerity, they're doing money printing. And then I put, after a half a year of selling from whales, again, just look at this. This only goes back to December of 2023. Look at what we've been subjected to for the last half of the year. Massive whale selling tons and tons of Bitcoin for over 5 months. And now they're buying. So this is not the time to panic. When everything is saying oversold conditions, I believe strongly that this is the time where you sit back, and if you need to, you accumulate more. This is not the time to run away. And this post right here showing just this week, these companies bought and are planning to buy Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, 6,911. Blockchain Group, 580. Metaplanet, 150. Cooler, 56.3. And GameStop is raising $1.3 billion to buy. That's in a week. Also, we have like the Mr. 100. If you follow Invest Answers, Mr. 100, Mrs. 200, whatever he calls them, I can't even remember. They've been buying nonstop every day. So it's a lot. It's a lot of Bitcoin getting bought every day by these guys. Ash Crypto put, bullish scenario in play. Bitcoin is testing a crucial support level around 84.5, a key demand zone that aligns with the CME gap. We don't talk about CME gap a lot, but a lot of the times it gets filled. And the CME gap, it usually happens because you'll have a week where, like over the weekend, Bitcoin will move or something and pop, like on a Sunday, which we actually did have one of those for a change. It hasn't happened a lot in the last year, so people don't talk about it as much. But we had the CME gap, and we have not filled it. If you look over here, it's like around 84.5. It's actually probably 84,200 that we could drop down to, which also aligns really well with what I was talking about, where we have a lot of volume in the 84,000 range. At least over the last several months of trading. So this would be a good place to bounce. All right, let's keep going. Do we need to close the CME gap to drop to 84.5? Yeah, if we drop to 84.2, then we'll close the CME gap. And I think that can happen today. I think with the news we just got, I think it's going to be pessimistic heading into the morning. Again, we're not completely done with economic data yet. We have Michigan data coming later at 9 o'clock. We'll have to see how that goes, see if that brightens the mood. And again, this data wasn't that bad. PCE came in line at year over year at 2.5%. This is not like rocketing inflation. This is not crazy compared. I mean, look at this. For almost the entirety of 2000 to 2008, we had numbers that were comparable to this for inflation rates. And we were way higher, all of the 70s, or I'm sorry, part of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. I mean, all the way into the 90s, we were higher than these numbers. So these are not crazy numbers. Just keep it in perspective. Also, Ash Crypto put, the current cycle is mirroring exactly the 2017 bull run. We are still on track. So again, he showed peaks. He showed accumulation zones for periods of time. He showed the consolidation range before another breakout. And he said, we're here. I actually believe we are here. Based on timing and everything, I think he's right. Again, it'd be nice to close above the 200 moving average if we can. Back up here. Let me jump out. Oh, shoot. I didn't want to go that far. Let me go back one more, see? Yeah, there we go. And then this is FS Insight. This is another slide from the talk today with Sean Farrell. If you have the crypto package, they show you this. And you've probably seen this in a bunch of others. But essentially, March historically is a sideways chop range for Bitcoin. It's just the way it works. And then after that, we start to take off. And then we have a lull in the Q3 range. Sometimes we have a summer break where it's kind of flat. June, July, people are traveling, doing stuff up until August. That honestly is pretty consistent too. Sometimes shitcoins take off. I don't even know if shitcoins are going to do that well this time around. But this is not abnormal, and the next thing that usually happens is going up. Crypto Rover had incoming SEC chairman. Bitcoin and digital assets are our top priority. Top priority. That's huge, in my opinion. And then Derivatives Don said, BTC becoming a hospice for CEOs with failed business models. I actually agree with this. There's a lot of companies, again, GME I would include inside of that, where their business model may not be great, but at least they can offset with all the cash that they have and the money that they've made off of sucker investors. They can apply that towards Bitcoin, and they've already, I think, GME also has a gold mining company, if I'm correct. Let me know in chat, guys. So CME rose. CME was actually flat, or I'm sorry, PCE was flat, Tyler. Core PCE was higher than expected. These are different numbers. So core month over month was higher, and year over year was higher. But if you look over here, let me just go back. So core PCE price year over year 2.8%. They expected consensus was 2.7, and then forecast was 2.6. So year over year, it wasn't that high of a number. And if we look over here and expand out, this one was slightly higher than expected, but it wasn't crazy. Again, this is not crazy. We had look at this. So March of 2024, we were in the 3s, then we were in the 2.9s, then the 2.8s, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, 2.7, 2.8, and that's where we are now. So not exactly accelerating and taking off. The month over month was, let's see here, the month over month was 0.4, and that was versus the 0.3 consensus and 0.2. So again, slightly higher, but not crazy numbers whatsoever. How does it affect our next expected rate cut? It's probably not updated. I don't know if we're still looking at one in May because, again, personal income rose. That was a great number. So we're sitting at 10% right now there. I can't say this, though. TLT looks like it's finally starting to get some upside. We'll see if it closes with it. But at least we're up 1.1% today versus the 0.29% we were down yesterday. Because, again, this is kind of broken down and hasn't been a great hedge since, early February. It hasn't really done much, if anything, but go down and start to drop. So it's nice to see this thing getting a bid as far as a hedge goes. So, again, I've still got 300,000, 350,000, whatever it is sitting inside of this. Maybe this will start to perform and do a better job in the not too distant future. Let's see what else we got. Wish this news or our TLT hedge may do better. Yeah, again, it looks like today it is. We'll see if it lasts. Marquis, sorry I disagree with James on this. Liquidity doesn't hit the market immediately. There's a 100-day delay for BTC, 7 weeks. We're going up very soon. Yeah, no, I'm showing different groupings of liquidity. Everybody can find the M2. That's one measure. But again, the money actually has to make it to where it's moving. I believe velocity of funds is very important. If you don't have any velocity and the money's not moving, and it's just like money got printed and it's not being put to work, then I don't think it's great. But I agree. M2. If you look at M2 and you look at the lag with it, it looks like it's going up. We've shown those charts. So we'll see how quickly it kicks in. And seasonality is going to kick in the beginning of April too. And then if tariffs aren't as bad, I think the thing you need to be mentally prepared for, though, is for Europe to be doing something with Canada, because Mark Carney's got that very clearly on his list. We'll look at that in a second. Talking about how he went to France and how he went to the UK and how he met with them instead of talking to Trump, and how he's going to basically remove himself from the United States and our affiliation with each other, both militarily and trade-wise, which is a stupid idea. We're the only land border they have. If all your trade is going to be done through a ship and through air, your prices are going to go up a lot in an economy that's already just fucking trash. But I think you need to be ready for the fact that Canada and Europe might try and team up to go against us in tariffs. I think you also have to include that maybe there'll be some discussion with China where they'll try and team up against tariffs. Here's the thing. The balance of trade is all leaning towards us. We are the consumer of the goods. And so we win hands down. We win hands down in this stuff, but they might want to fight for a minute too. You got to think about that. And if that happens, then I think you see TLT take off. Let's keep going though, and then we get those lower rates too, on top of everything that that we're seeing Scott Bessent do to try and lower another 50 bips too. Anyway, let's keep going. We'll get back to that Mark Carney stuff in a second. Breaking: Brazil vice presidential advisor calls on nation to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve. BTC is digital gold. The internet's gold. It will be crucial to our prosperity. So somebody in Brazil seems to understand. Also, Bitcoin news, hang on tight. Global liquidity is on the rise. Again, this is global M2, not just US M2 and not the global liquidity figure that we were looking at from James. And so you can see this one has been rising for a while, and it's starting to steepen and go up even more. And there's other views of this where it shows global liquidity and the lag with BTC, and you can match up the price action. We've seen all those. We probably have some of those below. And again, that blockchain group, just again, another company buying Bitcoin. Let's see what else we have here. And don't forget, this is 2016, Trump's presidency in 2016, and then what happened after that. So it looks very similar, right? Kind of flat to sideways for a while, and then it takes off. And seasonality, not just in Bitcoin, but in stocks, points to us going higher too. And again, there's just so many, whether it's shit coins or whether it's Bitcoin, there's so many similarities to previous cycles with consolidation and then what happens next. I just wouldn't be bearish here. Because again, you don't want to be this guy, right? You don't want to be the guy who gets right to the diamonds and then runs away when all of the contrarian indicators are telling you it's a time to sit back and hold and wait and be cautious. Not cautious, patient. Appropriate word. Tyler said, does inflation being sticky actually benefit BTC more because it's a hedge? No, it doesn't. Inflation being sticky, and I don't think it's sticky. It's not fucking sticky, man. It's sub 3% range is not sticky. And again, let's look at Truflation. Let's look at how crazy inflation is right now using real indicators that are tied in with APIs. Oh, I don't know if I have the good one here. Year on year? Is that, yeah, there we go. All right, so right here, it's 1.78. So again, it got to bounce off a low, but the trend is down. And even if the bounce gets us to the low twos, it's still hella better than where we were over in the month of February here, where we went from the 2.7s over all the way down to the 2.16, all the way back to the 2.42. You can kind of see like the trough. We bounce up a little bit. We go over. We roll down again. And you got to realize this is real-time data. And a lot of what you saw here, like the inflationary stuff, I would say like early February to late February, early March was probably caused. And that's some of the data that we're getting right now was probably caused from people front-loading and buying goods to get ahead of tariffs. And then when we look at this economic data over here for the core PCE and the PCE, it's from February. So this is the data we're reporting on right here, the end of February, where we're in the, they have it in the 2.3s, 2.4s. And again, there's a lag in this other data. So it's also including this higher stuff from January, probably in February too, because our systems are so fucking backwards. And if you don't believe how backwards they are, just go back to the beginning of this video where we talk about Biden's objective to try and get broadband implemented in the United States of America. And that'll let you know how fucking backwards our systems are, including the Fed. We don't even need all these people. So we're looking at like this and this, right? And the data that's being reported. But what's happened since in March? This and this, okay? So even if we're averaging 1.5, 1.6, or even just low twos, that data will start to correlate and cross over because this is real-time data with APIs from all the companies in the United States that give real-time data. And I don't even remember. There's a list in here somewhere. I don't even remember. Somewhere it talks about like how it's all created. I will try and find it. But again, if you look at the composition over here, maybe it's under, I don't know, some of these other figures. But if you look at some of this, you can see all of it. You can see the breakdown. You can see where the data is coming from. You can see tons of stuff that is really beneficial. 99.4 predicting inflation in the next. I wonder. I might do this. Just to see what they have. But this data is way better. It's way better. It's let us know everything that's happening with inflation. It let us know that we were a lot higher than the government was telling us. It let us know that we were coming down a lot quicker than the government was telling us. It's just always been better, and it's always been ahead. So focus on that. That is the messaging that you need to understand. Huge the IMF. Oh, yeah, whatever. We got that done. So Bitcoin's done. Let's go back over here. I'll probably jump around. Yeah, I'll probably jump around. Let's go to Tesla. And so it's 7:59. We got a little bit more time here before the market opens. Again, the Tesla chart is just grinding up against this level and wants to break out. It's only up 0.77 right now in pre. Again, maybe we go red further. I don't know. We got a gap in here. It's right over here. Maybe we can go down to that. Maybe we can go down to the 250s. I have no fucking idea. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. It doesn't have to. Let's go down. So again, just in. Tesla Cybertruck belonging to a local solar company was vandalized in Minnesota. Go Solar. Wolf River Electric has "fuck you Nazi" with a penis on it. This is in Tim Walt's state. This is what the left has created. It's insane. All right, Homar's catalog. Tesla insulated. Price increases needed to offset 25% tariff impact. Ben, thank you for joining as a member. You can talk now in chat. Vehicle assembly, 0% for Tesla. Imported parts, 1.8%. This is the estimated impact from Deutsche Bank and Wards, posted on Yahoo Finance. Look at the other companies. Look at the rest of them. Who wins? I'm going to say Tesla. Oh, yeah, this is a great one. I'm glad I had this in here. I wanted to show this. This is another part of the conversation that Elon had in the interview where it was just him, and you got to hear this. Trump and DOGE are going after the bad guys. Listen to this.
And then when she held a hearing, said, where'd the $12 billion go? They didn't know.
Talking to those guys, and you have a great team from all over the country. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. You know, there's now been these many cases of violence and vandalism at Tesla dealerships.
Also, before we get into that part, what he was talking about, the $12 billion, that was a part of the conversation about the Pentagon, asking where, and it was like a huge amount of money. It was $12 billion in that case, but there's like 230, 250, whatever billion a year that just gets lost at the Pentagon, and they don't know where it is. That specific case, it was like in regard to submarines, and there was like $12 billion or something dollars that was spent for submarines. And she's like, hey guys, where are we at with that? And they're like, what happened with the money? And they're like, oh, I don't know. You don't know what happened to $12 billion that was dedicated for submarines that you were supposed to be building? You just don't know where it is? This is the shit we have to fix. Now let's listen to the rest of this conversation about how Elon and Trump are going to go after these motherfuckers.
How does that affect your employees, your customers? What does it mean to you? Like, how have you taken that in?
Well, I think a great wrong is being done to the people of Tesla and to our customers. I mean, Tesla is a peaceful company that has made great cars, great products. That's all it's done. Hasn't harmed anyone.
This gets real good.
People are committing violence. They're firebombing Tesla dealerships. They're shooting.
Again, this was an Asian communist who is also pro-Palestine, who's been radicalized at these colleges.
Guns into stores. They're threatening people. They're issuing death threats against me and other Tesla personnel. What are they doing this for? Why? And what's happening, it seems to me, is they're being fed propaganda by the far left. And they believe it. It's really unfortunate. But the real problem is not the people. It's not like the crazy guy that firebombs a Tesla dealership. It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it. those are the real villains here. And we're going to go after them. And the president's made it clear we're going to go after them. The ones providing the money, the ones pushing the lies and propaganda, we're going after them.
And it's been this evolution.
That's a message. He's sending a very clear message. He's going after these guys. They will go after them. They'll hunt them down, and there's going to be repercussions.
I mean, the last administration was going to mandate electric vehicles, and now you see on the far left some efforts to go after electric vehicles. It's quite something.
It is ironic. I mean, it seems like the most ironic outcome is the most likely. But, yeah, I mean...
Personally, it's got to take a toll.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Elon is so resilient, though, he'll make it work. Tesla is the cheapest vehicle to maintain. They show the 10-year cost here, the 5-year and the 10-year cost of a Tesla. And again, the 5-year cost goes up to $5,000. That's when you start to get like shocks and like all the car parts that are problematic. But compare this to like a Land Rover, a Porsche, a Mercedes-Benz, and an Audi. Luxury vehicles here, BMWs over their 10-year, and it's just not comparable. And again, they built these cars for a 1,000,000-mile drivetrain, right? 1,000,000 miles they build these cars for. Also, if you don't understand why LiDAR is just absolute trash, look at this. Labeling LiDAR data is extremely time-consuming and costly. You can't imagine a few meaningless dots there actually represent a car, and yet many people believe this is ideal for self-driving. Look at this. Just look at this. They're just showing you the craziness of LiDAR mapping and the imagery that's associated with it and trying to figure out what things are. It's just asinine. It's not efficient in any way. And yeah, here we go. I've been saying this, and the United States has a massive communist problem. Whether people like the word communist or not, this guy literally identifies as he's a part of multiple communist organizations in the pro-Palestine movement. And this dude firebombed these Teslas and is now being charged with 3 counts of arson, 3rd degree, 3 counts of unlawful possession of explosives, 4 counts of destroying property, and 5 counts of discharging a firearm into structures. This is insane. This is the stuff we're dealing with, man. Just batshit fucking crazy communist people. And they're being taught to be communists, right? They're being taught to be that. Trump's auto tariffs, Audi 100% imported, Porsche 100% imported, Ferrari 100% imported, BMW 50% of U.S. cars sold in the U.S., parts imported, Mercedes 50% of U.S. cars sold in the U.S., parts imported, Stellantis 60% of U.S. cars sold, parts imported, Volkswagen 15%. There's a lot of companies, including Japanese ones, that are going to suffer greatly, and that's why they're getting crushed. Tesla's the benefactor of that. Let me keep going down here. Hammer time. Yeah, so again, we got knocked down yesterday. We'll see if we can get back up today. Stellantis is offering employees up to $72,000 to quit their jobs. That's insane. This is all happening in mass. We're going to have a lot of manufacturing jobs moving into the United States, but we're also overseas. You're going to see a lot of companies closing manufacturing plants because they just can't afford to have them around. This is offering voluntary buyouts to hourly UAW employees at more than 20 facilities, including Detroit and Toledo, due to economic uncertainty. And so, again, you're going to see legacy, the auto sector, you're going to see legacy auto probably dying. You're going to see companies like Rivian maybe having a chance, and Tesla definitely doing really, really well. They're going to be the cheapest cars. They're going to be some of the only ones that people are buying here soon. So, again, I have very positive things to say about Tesla. All right, real quickly here. Let me see what else we got. Defense and war. I want to jump to this real quick. So, U.S. officials say the B-2 bombers sent to Diego Garcia aren't just routine. They're tied to Trump's 2-month ultimatum for Iran. Translation, if talks collapse, the military is ready to roll. We've been bombing the shit out of Yemen, attacking Houthis, and we're getting ready to have some craziness go on with Iran, too, if we need to. Love the Shirt was my favorite band in the Science days. Oh, yeah, cool, man. I saw them back then, too, in concert. Incubus, for anybody who doesn't know them. LW Crypto, anyone in this? MicroStrategy Incorporated, 10% Series A perpetual strife. I am not. And you guys were asking about MSTY too. I'm not really interested in MSTY now. And I'm really not. I'm looking for asymmetric gains, right? So like MSTU, I'm looking for asymmetric gains. I'm looking for when Bitcoin did its move, and this one's like right down here. I'm looking for that 1,300%. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that, and it doesn't all show here because this one, the MSTU, came in a little late. But I'm looking for that 1,300% off of MicroStrategy doing 350, and maybe it's MicroStrategy doing a couple 100% in the next 3 to 6 months. I think it's going to do more, but maybe that's all it does. I'll take that. I'll take a 500-600% return off of a couple 100%. I'd take that. That would be okay. I'm looking for that though. And MSTY isn't going to give me that, right? MSTY is like, it makes you feel good because you get an income from it. But then it's like, okay, when are you actually going to buy in? And let's just look at this too. So MSTY in that period from September, let's just look at this. How did it perform on the upside and down? Again, you're getting a dividend, so you can throw that in too, right? And that'll make you feel a little bit better. But MSTY did 143% over that time from trough to peak, whereas MicroStrategy did what, 350%? And MSTU and MSTX did 1,300%. So I'm looking for that kind of stuff. I'm an asymmetric guy. And then at the same time, let's just look at what happened in the downside price action here. This thing lost as much as 62%. Is that really any better than MSTR? Let's just go over here real quick. So MSTR lost 57%. So you actually lost more money with this one, but you get a dividend. And so that makes people feel fuzzy and makes them happy, right? So over this time, let's just look at how much dividend did you get. So you got 3.3, 5.5, 8.5, and then at the top over here you had 4. So you've gotten about 12, 13 on dividend, but then you've dropped 60%. So it's all right. Like it's a good way to. I'll probably be looking at this more at the end of when I think we're at the top because of the dividend that you can get from this. Doesn't MSTY's monthly dividend make it an attractive? Yeah, that's not for now. Not if you still think there's a bull market. It's not. It's not nearly as attractive because again, you got 140% upside. And let's look at the dividend here. So from the bottom, 1.8, 4.2, and then right at the tippity top, you had this. So you're sitting at about 10 in gains when you were up to 48. So again, maybe you had MicroStrategy level performance with that on the upside, but it's definitely not MSTX or MSTU upside. So I think this, for me personally, when I think we're nearing the top, this becomes more interesting. You think MSTR has a yearly dividend? I don't think it does. Does it? I don't think it does. Let's just look over here. 0 dividend, right? 0 dividend. Yeah, there's no dividend. But again, so if I think we've hit the top, I'm interested in MSTY as an opportunity to hold for downside protection because of its dividend. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm not interested now because I don't think we're anywhere near a top. So that's my take on it. Everybody can do their own strategy. I'm perfectly okay with other people doing different things. I don't mind that. Just don't buy Chinese stocks. That's all I ask. MSTX did, but it's a little weird. Yeah, I wouldn't look at that I wouldn't look at that as being the same thing. MSTY is definitely the dividend play. Or again, there's other tools for that too that you can get that are bond issuance, so they're like more guaranteed. And they're tied with MicroStrategy. I don't know what MSTY looks like in the depths of a bear market, if it's even solvent. I just don't know. I don't know what happens with that. It's not tied directly to MicroStrategy. It's a third-party company. So I got to do more evaluation when I think we're getting toppy on what my thoughts are on that. Alex Garcia, buy BTC, not GME. I kind of agree with that. I do think GME can go up now, though. It got really fucking destroyed. It won't be a play I'm doing, though, because, again, I don't like dying companies. But it got really destroyed. What did it go down, like 20%? So it got beat up pretty good. I won't touch it. I don't like dying companies. MSTY is dividend-based on volatility. The issue for holding MSTI is low volume. Dividend is way lower. I sent you the calc to compare MSTY and MS. Yeah, and I just haven't looked at it because I'm not interested right now, but I probably will later. When I think we're topping, I'm going to be way more interested, so remind me then. Tyler Casamente, read my mind. I don't know, man. Who's that towards? Or did you say that I did? GME hits all-time or ATM every pump. Yeah, no, it totally makes sense that they would do that, right? Like, it's really smart to do that. And again, they tapped that ATM, and now they can buy, what was it, 1.3 billion in Bitcoin. That's really beneficial for them. I don't blame them at all for doing it. That's really smart. All right, let's real quickly. Let me see. Did I finish the defense and war part? Oh yeah, talking about last night. So Trump just yesterday talking about last night or the night before's Houthi attacks. Let's listen.
The Houthis are looking to do something. They want to know, how do we stop? Can we have peace? The Houthis want peace because they're getting the hell knocked out of them. It's been very, very strong. The Houthis are dying for
massive bombing campaign. Massive.
Peace. They don't want this. And they're bad. Look, they were knocking ships out of the ocean. We had in the Suez Canal, they only have about 20% of the ships going through. They have to go through a different way, which takes weeks of travel. And that really affects commerce. But the Houthis have been hit hard, and they want to negotiate peace. But I don't think they're quite.
Classified was shared?
Say it?
Do you still believe nothing classified was shared?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You have to ask the various people involved. I really don't know. I can only tell you this. You don't want to talk about it. The Houthis have been horrible to the world. What they've done, killed a lot of people, and knocked down a lot of ships and planes and anything else. It's not just the ships. And they have been hit. They have been hit harder than they've ever been hit. And they want us to stop so badly. And they've got to stop. They've got to say no mas. But I can only say that the attacks. It's attack.
By the way, guys, markets are bouncing back a little bit. Tesla's at 1.5% again. Bitcoin, if you look down over here, it looks like it's coming back. So I think people are realizing maybe the data's not so bad.
Every day, every night. It's not just the one. You're talking about one. The attacks have been very successful, even beyond our wildest expectations. We've hit them very hard, very successfully, and we're going to do it for a long time. We're going to keep it going for a long time.
Thanks for the clarification, Mark. If you guys look at his comment, he said GMA didn't hit the ATM yesterday. It was arbitrage for convertible bond, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. pricing period yesterday. Down like 20% or something. I don't even know where it ended up. Expect an announcement of BTC purchase on Monday. MicroStrategy did the same thing. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting when we start getting, oh yeah, and for Victor, thank you, Alex. It's visible range volume profile is the indicator, and it comes with, I believe, the premium service of TradingView. If you don't have it, then you can't get it. So you got to have I think it's premium. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. Red to green day, I think it could be. But yeah, so imagine what it looks like though when we start having announcements from multiple companies on Mondays for buying Bitcoin, or just consistently throughout the weeks because they start following the same playbook. We're really starting to see that. Again, I showed you a little bit earlier just how many companies are buying Bitcoin consistently now. It's pretty crazy. Tyler says, why are people worried about MicroStrategy reaching a point where they won't have anyone left who wants to buy their convertible bonds? I don't see that being a problem. I think that industry is so huge, and the returns on the convertible bonds are still probably going to be crazy good. There'll be periods where there's a drought in purchasing, I think. But it'll be one of those things where if people think BTC's bottomed, they're going to be looking at MicroStrategy and going, dude, let's get those convertible bonds going again. This is great. I don't care if it's 6 months or a year from now, we're going to start getting some wicked returns. Let's go ahead, because the bond market doesn't get these kind of returns at all. And again, they don't just have that. They have tons of different financing between Strike, Strife, convertible bond offerings, and the stock. I don't get how people, especially the way they have all these deals structured, I don't understand how people think that this is some major problem and that there's some kind of Ponzi scheme. It's asinine to me. If you look down in the corner, guys, we can actually see Bitcoin getting close to that 200 moving average that I was saying we needed to get to. It looks like we might even do it by the morning. Very fascinating. And who knows, we might close. We got really close to that CME gap, 84,832. We closed some of it. We'll see if we get to the rest of it. Maybe we still drop. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that can happen on a Friday. I personally would rather see us drop now, touch down to that 84,200 range, close that CME gap, hit this area of support, and then bounce up and close right above the 200 moving average. If that happened, that would be like the chef's kiss. I would love it. That's what I would love to see. Jesse said, hey, Garcia Capital posted a Rolex. Looks like he needed to buy extra links for the band. What? That's so goofy. That's a weird thing. That's a weird flex, buying your Rolex. I mean, I guess the prices have fallen a lot on Rolexes, so maybe they're more affordable now. I have a bunch of different watches too, but like frankly, this one is cheap as fuck, and it looks nice. It looks nice, but I think I got it on sale for, I don't remember if it was $400 or something. It was cheap. I know that, compared to like a Rolex. I'll take the thing that looks cool. It doesn't cost what a Rolex costs, because I just don't really give a shit about that. And who actually uses a watch to tell time anymore? I mean, it's really just an accessory, right? It's like a pearl necklace for a woman, or diamond pearl neck. Do women wear pearls anymore? I don't know. It used to be a thing. I don't really pay attention to that shit. And my wife is so cool and low maintenance. I'm the diva. I'm the person who costs a lot of money in our family. But I also am not that crazy. I usually buy for other people. I don't usually do a lot for myself. I bought a Cybertruck. Some vacations. That's all I've really done. I got to $7 million, and I haven't even bought a new house. I'm living in a house that I bought for $102,000 years ago. It's 2,700 plus square feet. That's pretty insane. My neighbors, I think, are wondering why I have 5 Teslas and live in this house. I'm sure. But yeah, I should probably upgrade soon. But yeah, if he wants to flex his Rolex, go ahead. I'm pretty sure that's not helping his Palantir stock or any of these other things that have been in the gutter. Anyway, I think we got about 10 minutes, guys, until the bell tolls. So I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to use my potty break real super fast. I'm going to go live here. And let's see. Can I zoom in to a better live timing? Maybe we can go back. Let's see. Did they talk about anything interesting this morning? CoreWeave. Treasury yields. Ooh, I kind of like that. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to see if we had revisions on the data. You guys can tell me. And then I'll grab just a real quick coffee. Yep, I'm going to leave it here.
Relate that to what?
All right, so I'm going to go grab a quick coffee here and then and hit the bathroom, and I'll be back in just 2 seconds, and then we'll get ready here. We'll go over a couple other things, and then we'll get ready for the bell and see how we go. But I do like the bounce that we're starting to see. I'm actually hoping we drop more, though, into the morning. But here you go. Be right back.
Calvin McDonald says at Lulu, which was actually quite difficult. I have some secret numbers. David, you're not dealing with secret numbers, which talk about how much this cost of tariffs going to be for cars, per car. And it's not going to be fun if you buy. You said something yesterday, Carl. You said that the German cars are going to be too expensive. Well, you raise a Beamer, 10 G's. That's a lot. You know, suddenly you're looking at that and you're saying, you know what, that's right. The Jaguar Land Rover, I think that if you're not an oligarch, you can forget about it. David, look at this. This is an oligarch number, 24,000 reason.
Yeah.
The secret numbers. You don't have the numbers.
No, I don't have the numbers. You have the numbers.
Yeah, I have the numbers.
You have the beans.
I have the beans. I have the secret numbers. Now, yeah, you can get a large premium. I mean, some of these things, you can say that the large premium SUVs are all going up $12,000. Now, I think that these are sticker shock, like you wouldn't believe. And I think that the president may not want anyone to raise, and that's terrific. But this is how much it's going to go up. And I think that people are going to be.
How do you stop automakers from raising prices? What do you threaten them with?
I don't know. You do what you did to Paul Weiss and Skadden. I don't know.
Well, Skadden is preemptively settling.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
Jenner Block.
Hey, just
or
call them out.
Hale or Perkins Coie. Yeah.
I think you threaten them. Right. You threaten them. And this isn't.
With an executive order?
Yeah. Why not? I mean,
So you're blocking off the law firms, the universities, the Smithsonian, and the automakers.
Well, the guy's moving fast.
Yeah.
I mean, between him and Musk, I mean, my head's spinning.
You're not alone.
No.
You're not alone.
And then there's too many stories, like the Times can't even keep up. The Times, do you think they laugh at the Times, though?
Well, to your point, Jim, about being frozen, the saving rate does go to the highest since June.
Yes, these were all positive numbers. Now we're going to have these numbers. And look, I think the Fed is, I don't want to say the Fed's in a bind, because that's what everybody says. I don't like that. I think they can do whatever the hell it wants. These numbers aren't strong. If you listen to what Calvin McDonald says, Lou, that's high end. You know, the month of March not turning out to be a real banner month for spend. They have a lot of ammo to do what
all
they
right,
want.
but if half the automobiles that are purchased in this country going up by 25%, I would assume fewer are going to be purchased.
Okay, so that's the point. That you won't see a big raise in inflation because you're not going to be able to sell these cars.
So it's going to be on the demand side.
I mean, there is the insurance aspect as well. If these auto parts get more expensive, the premium, and it's going to be harder to claim.
That was Ford's problem, is that the auto parts, everything working for, and all the warranties that had, even the warranties turned out to be much bigger.
Right.
That you can offer a warranty that's high. I mean, I just think that I keep coming back to why is GM's price earnings multiple 4? And the answer is, well, you know, they...
All right, so I'll assume there was nothing too interesting there. Let me just fast forward. Lululemon CEO. Exciting. All right, so we got about 5 minutes here until the bell. Let me just jump over and see what else we got sitting in front of us here. So again, in regard to the defense and war sector, I think the Houthis are going to get slammed. Israel is still grounding and pounding the Hamas group in Gaza, and there's been a lot of protests from people in Gaza saying that they want Hamas out. I'm hoping that leads to them working with the IDF in Israel to help that process along, because it would be great if Hamas is gone. That has not worked out. I don't really care about the sincerity of the people. They might still hate Jews and all that kind of stuff. That's perfectly fine. We just need Hamas gone from the region. We need one of these wars done. All right, let me see here. Too many people on CNBC have problems giving honest analysis. Oh, dude, they suck so bad. Akash, this may be the reason for the bounce. What was the reason? Did I miss it? EU plans concessions for Trump after reciprocal tariffs. Yeah, and I talked about that earlier. So that maybe is in regard to, or is that a new one? That I did talk about how with Meta and some of these tech companies, the EU wasn't going to be going after them. I'll do EU Trump and see what I can find here. If you guys have anything to tag me on it. Let's see here. Oh, maybe it's this one. EU plans term sheet of concessions for Trump tariff talks. Okay. All right. Let's see. The European Union is identifying concessions to make Trump the administration to secure the partial removal of U.S. tariffs that have already started hitting EU exports and are set to increase after April 2nd. EU officials were told that new auto and reciprocal tariffs will be launched next week, and discussions began on what a potential deal to reduce them should look like. The European Commission is coming on a term sheet for a potential agreement which would set out areas of negotiations on putative trade measures, including lowering EU duties, mutual investments with the U.S., and easing certain regulations and standards. This is fascinating because if this is true, this is not what we're seeing from Canada right now. Okay, that's fucking weird. I'm going to post this real quick. Fascinating. This is not, so this confuses me because Canada is taking then a really strong stance that they might not have the backing of the EU on. So I'm really fucking confused right now. That's strange. Jesse, you looked at GME down here after the convertible bond was priced last night. Yeah, no, I saw that it dropped. I don't like GME. I don't like investing in dead companies that take advantage of shareholders. At least MicroStrategy is like a clean play on Bitcoin. Metaplanet has become a clean play in the Japanese market. All these different markets kind of have their own version of MicroStrategy where people can invest. I don't care about GME. I just never have. And in my local mall where I go mall walking with all the old people and my wife every once in a while, I just noticed that the GameStop in there closed. And so like there's so many. It's just such a dying company without real clear direction or vision. So I don't love it, personally. All right, so that's interesting. So I want to go back here, guys. I've got, let me just see real quickly if there's any other additional news that we want to pay attention to. Trevor Milton pardoned. Ugh. Wisconsin Supreme Court election influenced by $1 million incentives. Ooh, that's great. I hope they win. Make sure, if you guys are in Wisconsin, please fucking vote. Please fucking vote. I'm just going to post every one of these, but please fucking vote. Scott Pressler can't do everything on his own. Please to God, make things happen. We need to prevent radical judges from coming into power, and we need to help him out. We don't want to lose one of our biggest advocates, Scott Pressler, who helped us do a great job in Pennsylvania and help turn around the election. We don't want him. Okay, that's the reciprocal tariff one. All right, we don't want him to give up and quit. All right, real quickly, I'm going to go to geopolitics because there's some stuff in here in regard to Canada that I want to talk about. This is just wild to me. So first off, Mark Carney's a douchebag, but not just him. I've decided I'm not supporting Pierre anymore. And it's because of this. And just listen here real quick. What do I got? 1 minute? All right, we'll listen right afterwards. I don't want to ruin the bell. I'm so bad with the bell. So we'll go back over here. We'll give you guys your bell.
All excited.
Then we'll go back.
Wowza.
It's been priced to work now. We'll see
but
whether it does.
Yeah, I just got to say, it's so weird. This is CoreWeave. It looks like they're doing their listing today. It's so weird to me that Canada is taking such a hard line if the EU is not. So weird.
Hope by the weekend.
Something's going on.
Let's get the opening bell and the CNBC real-time exchange and the big board today. It is the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute celebrating the 40th anniversary of Reagan ringing the bell here at the NYSE. Steve Forbes, Reagan Foundation Board trustee, doing the honors at the NASDAQ. It is that highly anticipated issue, NVIDIA-backed cloud computing company, CoreWeave, and we'll have them on tonight.
Yeah, I want to ask a number of questions.
I wonder how that one does. Yeah, I agree. JT said don't buy IPOs, fellas. That is mostly true. That is mostly true. Anything new on the Texas exchange and the 24-hour stock market? I haven't heard anything new. Andy, Jesse, I ask you to reconsider not supporting Pierre. He has to say anti-Trump. Does he have to? His polls are actually getting worse. I think he should be embracing Trump. But I want to listen to his words in a second here. We'll listen to his words, and you guys can decide on your own what you think. What he's telling me he's going to do with strong conviction. I don't like liars, okay? Even if they're saying things to be on the political whatever, I don't like that. I like Trump because he tells you what he's going to do. He tells you what he's going to think, and he doesn't lie about it to get votes. And I think that's the right approach. But I don't know. This hasn't updated yet. So I'm going to go back over here. We'll look at this in a second. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this right here. This statement from Pierre. This.
But I have a further message for President Trump. If you decide to go down this road, this is what's going to happen. Yes, you'll do damage to us in the short term, but we will fight back and we will build back. Within 4 years of a new, strong, conservative government, Canada will be completely rebuilt. We will rebuild our economy. We will not be reliant on the U.S. anymore, and the Americans will have lost the greatest trading partner and friend they ever had.
So, I already don't like this, but let's keep going.
A conservative government will build pipelines and LNG plants, aggressively promote mines and other resource infrastructure that has been blocked for the last 10 years. We'll have new overseas trading partners. We will knock down intra-provincial barriers so that we can trade with ourselves. We will send our goods to our friends on other sides of the oceans of the world. We will cut taxes and speed up.
This sounds like Mark Carney so far.
Permits so that we can sell our oil, gas, mining, lumber, agriculture, fisheries, manufacturing, small businesses and large businesses alike. The world needs our resources and our expertise. If you, Mr. Trump, don't want them, the rest of the world does. Under a new conservative government, we will put Canada first for a change. We will be a nation.
Yeah, so here's the difference, though. I'm all for Canada first. I'm all for you guys tap in natural resources. I'm all for fair trade. But saying that you're going to separate yourself, like Mark Carney said, from the United States and trade over across the pond, and that you're going to sever the relationship with the United States, fuck you. And here's the thing, you won't be able to do that in 4 years because Canada won't be around that long at the rate they're going. Their economy is absolute shit. And this guy isn't winning in the polls anymore. And so if he's going to talk shitty about Trump and not work with the United States and not embrace that side and still be losing in polls, then fuck him. Again, I would rather have somebody who's not saying what they think people want to hear. I want to know that somebody is genuine. And if this is the way he genuinely feels, fuck him. That's my take. It's my take. I'm sorry. That's what it is. Let's keep going here. So, but this guy, I like this guy. Maybe we'll take Alberta. I'm okay with Alberta. We can take, hey, it's a consolation prize. That works for me. Let's listen though. Here's the way. So again, I don't know. Something has to happen in Canada. I don't know what it is. But if Mark Carney is really what everybody ends up voting for, you guys are just fucked. I'm just going to be honest. You guys are fucked. But at least there's parts of Canada that are tired of the bullshit. I want to listen to this real quickly here. An Alberta lawyer talking about how they want to get away from the WEF-controlled Canadian government, which is what you guys should be doing. You shouldn't be. I don't like Pierre saying, oh, yeah, we're going to go and work with the WEF. We're going to go work with the WEF. We like those guys. What the fuck is that? I like this guy. Let's vote for this guy. Oh, 1 second.
So there'd be no more federal income tax. There'd be no GST. There'd be no excise tax. There'd be no carbon tax. There'd be no more equalization payments where taxes, pension, and UI benefits included. We send $70 billion plus a year to Ottawa and get less than $35 billion a year back from the rest of Canada, or Confederation as it's called. So imagine the wealth and the prosperity of this province with all of that money remaining in the province, remaining in the provincial economy. Imagine Alberta with control of its own immigration, so that where we have cities that don't have enough water, don't have enough electricity, don't have enough housing, that we can say, hang on, no vacancy, time out, until we sort out all the people that are presently here and we accommodate everybody that's here, and have a sensible immigration policy as opposed to what we've been dealing with. Imagine in Alberta where we're no longer being subject to arbitrary federal regulations because somebody in Ottawa doesn't like the shape of somebody's hunting rifle, that they just automatically declare all of our hunting rifles to be prohibited, illegal, and subject to seizure to be shipped to the front lines in the war of Ukraine, and other stupid ideas that have come out of Ottawa in the last several years. So I'm confident on those ideas alone, getting rid of, literally if we get rid of all federal taxation in Alberta, the take-home pay and the disposable income of every Albertan will more than double. Think about the fact that every time a working man or woman goes to the pump to fill up their truck, instead of paying $1.60 for diesel, they're paying 80 cents, which is what it should be. I mean, all of these things need to be explained to the public at large to truly internalize what the benefits from an economic perspective of an independent Alberta will be. As well as, and this is why we're going to Washington to talk to the U.S. administration with regard to their support for Alberta independence.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt him real quick. Andy said there's no way that Pierre can get elected if he goes pro-Trump. Why does he have to be pro-Trump? Why can't he be like, hey, we want to work with America. America's been one of our best allies. America has literally paid for our defense. And I think what we need to do is work to lower trade barriers and increase trade with one of our main trading partner that is the vast majority of our trade. Why can't that be it?
From a U.S. perspective,
NVIDIA's up, what, 5%? Really? It's up 0.41.
Why wouldn't they support U.S. independence or Alberta independence? President Trump recently announced at the joint session of Congress that he was fully in support of self-determination for Greenland. Surely we can hope that President Trump will also support self-determination for Alberta, because clearly it's in the U.S. interest to have a secure energy supply that isn't being subject to arbitrary regulation, production caps, emission caps, and all of these other things that Ottawa arbitrarily imposes on Alberta out of some misguided notion that anything we do in Canada is going to somehow offset all of the CO2 increases being put out by India and China, which dwarf all of our CO2 savings in Alberta and Canada on an annualized basis. So all of these things, would be dealt with within a common sense Commonwealth of Alberta, operating as an independent nation, where we're no longer subject to the idiotic whims of politicians in Ottawa who are influenced by people that belong to the investment club called the World Economic Forum, whose main purpose is simply to siphon tax dollars out of the hardworking pockets of citizens of Alberta for the benefit of many of their get-rich-quick schemes, like battery plants in Ontario and bug protein plants and all of the other foolishness that we've seen Alberta tax dollars going to subsidize. So for me, I see that this project is eminently sensible. I think we have more than enough support for it. Certainly the present government in Edmonton, the Daniel Smith's government, realizes that if there's 37% support for independence amongst the population at large, the support for independence within the UCP membership likely exceeds 60%. So, I think on that basis, the odds of having a referendum this year, thanks to Premier Smith, being forthright and coming forward and putting together a clear list of conditions for Alberta to remain in Canada to be considered by the future federal government to be decided, again, probably without Alberta's input on April 28th. We are going to have an opportunity to have a referendum this year, and I'm sure with all of us working together, we can finally have what we've all been working towards, which is a free and independent Alberta. So that's our goal.
And here's the thing: if Alberta had an issue with that, or I should say Canada had an issue with Alberta separating, I'm sure the United States would back them up, because these people more represent what our current values system is. So, I mean, and losing Alberta would be pretty ugly for Canada, especially if we get Greenland, which we're going to do. I know everybody likes to say, they've told me all along that we're not getting Greenland, but Trump is really set on it, and it's happening. That's why J.D. Vance is going there today. Yeah, you'd be toast without Alberta. You'd be toast. And so I don't know. Again, maybe Pierre isn't the worst person in the world. Maybe he's just lying to get votes, which I fucking hate. But again, I would much rather see somebody honestly say what they want to do and lose. We will end up helping the Conservatives in Canada eventually. Might take a year or two. But I would rather see the liberal assholes win and totally just fuck it up over the next year, and then have people be like, fuck this, we're done. Get these guys out of here. But I don't know. I don't know what hope there is for Canada. I want there to be hope. And maybe Pierre is still it. I don't have a lot of conviction in it at all anymore. But I do believe that, if Alberta wants to leave, we'll take you or we'll help you. One of the two. Anyway, all right, real quickly, Iranian man, I'll skip all this stuff, all the crazy Islamic bullshit. Let's see here. Skip that too. Let's see. Starlink. I don't know how that's gotten to geopolitics. Starlink in Oman. Starlink's in a few different places. I saw. I don't know if I had them all linked, but very interesting to see Starlink just continuing to go up all over the place. I am for mass deportations. So if this is what he actually wants to do, that's great. I like that. I think that's the right move. Maybe that'll actually help it to where he doesn't have to lie for votes in the future. Bain, if Alberta leaves, I'm buying a house there as soon as yeah, right. Housing prices will go up like astronomically in Alberta. Everybody's going to want to jump the border.
Well, it's very simple. If you break our laws when you're here as a visitor, we kick you out. I don't know how anybody can disagree with that. If someone shows up in our country claiming to be a student or a temporary worker and they start firebombing coffee shops, bakeries, synagogues, or any other place, then they need to be immediately arrested and they need to be deported.
See, I love that. That's actually very sensible, and it's what should be done. The part I struggle with is when you make it sound like you're going to lean into Western European nations that are turning into dystopian nightmares and that are tied with the World Economic Forum and that are trying to control their populace. That's where I just get lost. So good luck. I'm rooting for you guys in Canada, man. If Pierre can win and he's going to be a good leader, I hope he does. But I hope what he's saying about moving himself away from the United States isn't real, because it would be the stupidest fucking possible direction he could take. Honestly. And here's the anti-Gazan protests that we're seeing, or anti-Hamas protests in Gaza, which is great. Yeah, I'm rooting for you guys, man. Here's what I don't want. I don't want you to be some kind of communist, weird, socialist, fucking dystopian nightmare sitting to our north. Because if that's what it turns into, we're probably going to invade. I'm just going to be honest. Because we can't, if you look militarily, your land borders are like Alaska and us, right? It's all United States. And then there's Greenland to your northeast. And then there's Canada. So if you guys turn into some weird communist dystopian fucking Western European nightmare, we're probably not going to take it. Just throwing it out there. Zachary also said, oh, did I already look at these? I don't know if I did. I'm loyal to Canada, not to our corrupt government, which has sold us out to the WEF, globalism, and the CCP. The only way to shatter the Marxist brainwashing is to join the USA. Canada will still be Canada once it joins, just like Hawaii is still Hawaii and Texas is still Texas. So you can tell some people are like, I don't like this, man. And he even talks about here, he said, a little geography lesson for everybody. Canada only has one land border with the United States. Trade with any other country must be done by sea or air. Do you understand the economic costs that adds to trade? We're being absorbed into the USA through the power of economics. I kind of agree. And there's Mark Carney. If Mark Carney wins, Canada is finished. I agree with that. And here's this. Oh, God, you guys have to hear this. If you guys haven't heard this, this is great. Listen real quickly in the beginning.
How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein?
How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein? I love it. It's probably true. Answer the fucking question. And again, we've got the Premier of Quebec now endorsing Pierre because he promised to fix Canada's immigration mess. I told you guys this was the topic. So this is interesting. I'm putting this stuff up because I think the vote in Canada over the next month is going to be like so important for you guys' future.
First, I'm very happy about what Mr. Poilievre said last night. He said that he's ready to transfer us selection of temporary workers, the PMI program. So it's a huge gain for Quebec. I hope other leaders will do the same.
So I hope it works out. I think this is a clear indication of this puppet who lives in 3 different countries, and literally, I don't even know. Did he come from the UK recently? Was that where he was at last? You got Pierre down below, and then you have Mark Carney up here, and these people look so like I don't even fucking want to be here. This guy isn't even talking to them. He's an elite puppet who can't relate to fucking anybody because he's an asshole. And then it's an amazing difference between these two people. So I hope, and here again, more protests in Gaza. Just a lot of stuff going on. The Prime Minister of Denmark says J.D. Vance was right about migration in his Munich speech. I consider this mass migration into Europe as a threat to the daily life of Europeans. There are a lot of countries. Denmark is also looking to, I believe, buy a bunch more F-35s. There's a lot of countries that are getting tired of this shit. They just banned ninja swords in the UK. Yeah, I saw that. Susan. Oh, that was Susan. Hey, Susan, how you doing, lady? I hope you guys can make Canada great again, JT. I hope so. I'm wishing Canada luck. Dan said, I'm Canadian. I want to go back to when Americans ignored us. Frankly, I think it would be nice to be able to ignore you guys, but that's not happening anytime soon. So there's a lot of stuff happening. It ain't going to be that. And again, just listen to this. Listen to what Mark Carney says here. He's talking about basically completely separating ties with the United States.
Our biggest challenge as a country is becoming the most urgent.
Also, guys, we have 14 minutes until we get more data.
Coming weeks, months, and years, we must fundamentally reimagine our economy. We will need to ensure that Canada can succeed in a drastically different world. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over. What exactly the United States does next is unclear. But what is clear is that we, as Canadians, have agency. We have power. We are masters in our own.
Our economy is like almost 15 times the size of Canada's. And what do you guys export? Is 60-something%, 2/3 of your exports come to the United States. Good luck with the agency.
Home, nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can control our destiny. We can give ourselves much more than any foreign government, including the United States, can ever take away.
Really?
We can deal with this crisis best by building our strength right here at home. It will take hard work. It will take steady and focused determination from governments, from businesses, from labor, from Canadians. We will need to dramatically reduce our reliance on the United States. We will need to pivot our trade relationships elsewhere. And we will need to do things previously thought impossible at speeds we haven't seen in generations. But we can make ourselves more productive and therefore more competitive. We can break down internal trade barriers. We can build a stronger and more resilient economy. And that's what I'm squarely focused on as your Prime Minister. And that's why I chose to go to France and the United Kingdom, two long-standing and reliable partners, friends, and allies of Canada.
Instead of meeting with their largest trade partner that represents 2/3 of trade and that's got an economy that's almost 15x the size of theirs, we went across the pond.
And it's why the time will come for a broad renegotiation of our security and trade relationship with the United States.
Is Europe going to protect you? Really?
It's why I will work intensively with our partners in business, in labor, the territories and the provinces to find more ways to help Canadians through this crisis and to ensure that our great country emerges stronger than ever.
I'm sorry, this just absolutely fucking asinine. All of that is just the stupidest shit I've ever heard. All right, so we got about a little over 10 minutes, and then we'll get more economic data. I don't know if there's any new news that came up. The EU is a homeless shelter. It's like, honestly, it's like California and New York City. New York maybe being, I don't know. New York's kind of a shithole too. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. Let's see if we have any other news. You guys seeing anything at all while we're waiting here? There's more stuff I can pull up, but I don't. Oh God, if you guys haven't seen this, the earthquake in Myanmar, the series of earthquakes, horrific. Buildings dropping all over the place. There's this one building right here. Look at this. Look at this building right here. Oh wait, I can't. Look at that. The whole fucking thing came down. I posted about it earlier. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, right there. Look at that. There was a building that was under construction. There's one view. This is the crazy one. That was a bad day. So they had a 7.7 earthquake. Just utterly catastrophic. There's so many people injured from this. They're going to need help. We should kill a bunch of other government programs and help these people out. But yeah, this is just fucking sad. Just sad. The building was under construction. I think 40 people are, yeah, they were probably construction workers that were in it, just with horrible timing. The guy who's been in charge for 10 days just decided to kill a partnership lasting a millennia. Yeah, right, Nick? Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy that, like, again, you had this... You have a guy who's like just an interim leader for the country, and he can just say, oh, we're ending our relationship with the United States. I don't get it, man. Next time someone claims that Bitcoin is a strategy is a Ponzi scheme. Oh, yeah, whatever. Is that what we're talking about? Is that the Ponzi scheme? First billionaire Elon Musk calls Social Security a Ponzi scheme. Now, another billionaire, Trump's cabinet, says Americans won't mind missing their Social Security. This is such a lie. It's amazing. This is 13 hours ago. So this is shocking. When you look at the full context of what Howard Lutnick said, it is shocking to me that almost a week later, people can use this little snippet and make it sound like, well, let's see what they say.
Fraudster always makes the loudest noise, screaming, yelling, and complaining.
So they're probably going to talk about his mother not missing a Social Security payment, but it's completely and utterly taken out of context. What he's saying is she trusts the government to get her payment, and that it's the fraudsters that will contact right away and be like, dude, where's my payment? It's not like the people who are actually supposed to get the money. He clearly indicates in his conversation during this interview that they will not be eliminating any programs whatsoever for Social Security, for Medicare, for Medicaid, any of this stuff. But let's look at the pitch that we're getting from a fucking senator in this country. Let's see what they're saying just in the last 24 hours.
If your son-in-law is a billionaire, yeah, you don't worry if your Social Security check comes. But if, like my mother, that was nearly your only income, that's devastating. Do you not understand that there are people who don't have a billionaire as a son-in-law, that there are people who don't have pensions because their job didn't have one.
So again, just completely taking it out of context and lying to the American people. Susan, thank you for the 50. You're a sweetie. And upgrading your membership. You certainly don't have to. You've done a lot for this channel. Just giving a very small portion of what you give to us. FYI, I'm still selling doors door to door. Well, I hope you're selling a lot of them, lady. Benedict, I worked on this building in Bangkok. It was infested with corrupted general contractors, so I'm not surprised. Oh, really? It was just a really poorly constructed too? Yeah, I mean, even under construction, you would think that it wouldn't break down because you'd have, like, again, the stuff needed to prevent a building from collapsing. There's plenty of other buildings in that region that did not do that, that were much, much higher. Martin Pilda, when I heard Howard, I knew they will use it this way. So predictable. Isn't it just insane, though, how you can literally... And there will be people that genuinely believe that he does not care about people not getting their Social Security checks, and they won't actually listen to the whole thing. It's disturbing. Again, Michigan data coming at 9, so we got about 6 minutes now. That's going to be really interesting. So far, Tesla is down about 0.275. TLT is actually getting its bounce, guys. So we're actually having a good TLT day. I don't plan on selling any of this anytime soon. We'll see what happens with TLT. I would rather have the markets do great, make tens of millions of dollars and everything else, and then have this go to dust. But I want this. This is my insurance right here. So if I do make a bunch of money and other stuff, I probably will invest some more into TLT as it goes down so that I can, again, have that insurance plan buffered up a little bit. And if the markets go down and this thing goes up first, that's fine too. Again, it's insurance. That's why 10% of my portfolio roughly is allocated towards it. MicroStrategy's down about a little less than 3%. Tesla's actually up just a hair, flat pretty much on the day. Mara's down 5.28%. CleanSpark's down 5.6%. Iron's down 3.3%. Trunk Coin is down 8%. Oh, God, I haven't even said this. I don't even think I posted it. I sold all my Trump coin. I didn't want to, but I have taxes to pay. And so what I did, I thought, hey, you know what? I want to lower my tax obligation for next year in 2025, paid out in 2026. And so I took a loss on it because, I mean, honestly, it's probably like the least conviction thing that I have. I still think it'll do well and I'll probably regret it, but I want to be able to pay my taxes, and I had to sell something. And so I said, hey, I've got like a $65,000 loss or whatever it is on this. I'll just take that, and that way I'll have short-term capital losses for next year that I can use on my taxes. So that's what I did. So I should post that probably too. But just so you guys know, I'm out of Trump coin completely. I'm still in some other shit coins and Solana and the rest of my stuff. I haven't touched any of it because those were long-term holds anyways. But I did do that, so I should make you guys aware of that. I did that this morning. Benedict Herwig. Oh, wait, that was you. JT, all of a sudden they're worried about the billionaires. Yeah, right? Not George Soros. Not that. Certain billionaires we're willing to overlook. Government corruption, insane bureaucracy, fraud. We're okay with that. TLT up 1.3%. That's not bad. I haven't looked at the calls. Tyler said, how are your CleanSpark options doing? I don't know. I haven't looked. Let me see. I can try and pull it up. Let me log in. I know other people are doing worse. I was doing better because I got a nice bounce. They were doing really good. I was only down like 52%. But again, these are asymmetric bets, so they can go down really quick, just like they can go up really quick. So it could be even worse. I'm actually shocked that Hood's down 3% or almost 4% today. That's crazy. That's just nuts. That's really nuts. Hood should be doing way better than it is. Let me pull it up. So CleanSpark, it says down 72%. So they're getting pretty smoked, I think, all in all. So again, not like 95 like some people are, but down 72%. My ARCG's down 57. Again, these are asymmetric bets, though. They can turn around on a dime. Iron's down 38. Mara's down 32. MSTU and MSTX are still holding up really good. I'm up an average of about 30-35% on those holdings. So that's kind of cool, even being down today. And TLT's up a little bit today, and then it looks like TSLL's down a little bit, not really much at all. yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've got a lot of MSTX and MSTU. I really don't want to sell it, but I do want more TSLL too. I'm conflicted. We'll see. It's all an old post for Soros interview on 60 Minutes. Horrifying how little regard he has. Oh, God, dude. Yeah, he had no problem. He was talking about taking things from Jews. And, like, again, he was a part of, like, that whole Nazi regime. And I think he hates Jews. I think he wants to murder all of them. That's my take. I think he's a really, really bad person. A really bad person. George Soros is evil. Oh, hey, we're in extreme fear, guys. We had a 25. We're in extreme fear. I like it. I think that's a good place to be ahead of April 2nd. Yeah, so the markets, I don't know. Tesla's still up just barely. Nvidia's up just barely. Let's see what the rest of it looks like while we're waiting here. We still have about 1 minute until the bell tolls. Shit coins are getting just absolutely fucked, just like Trump was this morning. Or Trump coin, I should be specific. I don't know what Trump was doing. Him and Melania have been married a long time. Maybe they don't do it as much as they used to. Injective, Arbitrum, Optimism, Ethereum is really getting crushed. I saw the BTC to Ethereum ratio just getting devastated. These are all like layer 2s on Ethereum, and they're just getting bitch slapped today, along with all the other shit coins, including Trump coin. And I sold at a higher level. I think I was closer to 11 or something because I was real early in the morning. So that's probably a good thing I sold. MSTX, MSTU, again, not doing too bad. Sol Strategy's down. Sol's down. Sol's down, but boy, it's not getting hurt as much as Ethereum and the rest of these. So that's probably good, which is interesting because it's a much smaller cap than Ethereum. Ethereum is down 6%, where Sol is down about the same. Doge is down. CleanSpark's down. Yeah, everything. It's all crypto. It's all high risk on stuff that's just getting butchered today. The VIX is up a little bit. TLT's up. Yeah. Tesla's really the strongest player, man. Everything else has been dropping. Jesse, do you feel properly exposed to Tesla, or are you looking to? I'm looking to add, but here's the thing: if I add, I want it to be because TLT has went up a bunch, or crypto has went up a bunch. So, but right now I have like 300 and something thousand. What do I have? It's in TSLL too. So it says 334,000 in here, but then I also have other just Tesla stock in like my SoFi and some other shit. So I'm probably over 350 plus right now on Tesla. And this is a 2X fund. So that's a decent amount, but I would honestly love to have more. But I would need like TSL or TLT to pay out really well. I would need TLT just to get crushed. And that's down. The stuff I'm still holding. The other stuff when I sold most of it and I was in the green on those positions. But since you can see where it's down 26.42%. So it's really gotten ate up. I don't know what the wife's account looks like for that. Maybe I can pull that up. Let me log out and I'll go back into the other one here. And I'm going to pull up the economic data. It looks like it has come up. So let's go to that. Michigan consumer sentiment. Consumer sentiment still trash. Slightly lower than expected. The forecast and consensus were 57.9. We got 57. Michigan 5-year inflation expectations have risen. 4.1%. Previous was 3.5. So they're saying they think inflation now is worse 5 years from now. I think that's stupid. Michigan consumer expectations 52.6. Lower than the 64 previous. Lower than the forecast and consensus. And Michigan current conditions final 63.8. So they think the future is horrible for consumer expectations, for inflation, and sentiment right now is horrible, but current conditions aren't bad, coming in better than expected for consensus and forecast. Really retarded. Michigan inflation expectations are at 5% now instead of versus 4.9 and 4.3% before. I think this is a really political survey, just like a number of them. So I don't know. I think that's probably within expectations of what I was expecting. Market is a little more red from it. Yeah, it's a little more red. We'll see how we end up with everything, but it's a little more red. Yeah, gold hit a new record. Gold continues to go up, and I could see that happening too. And then it looks like TLT is doing well today as well, and the VIX is going up. So we'll see where we end for the week. We'll see where we end for the day. All these different things. Again, I've got TLT as a hedge. Shit gets weird. I got that going for us. I do, though. Again, I went through this before. I really think that Bitcoin is set to rock. Let me just go back here real quick. I think Bitcoin is set to rock. And yeah, the CME gap has not been filled. Again, if you look in the bottom corner, that is around 84,200. It's around where we see this peak right here in volume in the bottom corner. You can see that red horizontal line peak for the last several months worth of volume on the visible range volume profile. But I think honestly, I think this news about Europe, I'm actually surprised that people hearing that Europe is going to work with us on inflation expectations, I'm surprised we're not up, even with this really shitty data coming out of Michigan. Because again, all of it's bullshit. This is probably like a really biased surveying of inflation and the Fed there saying that Trump is going to suck with tariffs, and it being just, again, really biased. Almost all Democrats probably running this survey. So I think the survey is bullshit. I think the current conditions are probably more representative of truth. And again, these are still high, lowered but high. But I don't know. I think the whole thing's biased and bullshit. And I think that's probably what Tom Lee will say too. But again, maybe it's a good thing that we bounce down. We have in Tesla too. I don't know if we can do it in Tesla because it's much further down. We got some gaps we could close on the CME, which would be nice. It would have to really drop for this one. It would have to go to 248. I don't know if that can happen. That's like a 10% drop, but maybe it can. And if that happens, there's massive support over here. I would probably end up buying more. And again, with Bitcoin, we want to see that drop too. If I just move it over here, then I'll probably be done after this. But this CME gap, like I said earlier, it's right over here around this 84.2 range, right around here, 84.2. That would be a great place to stop, find support, and then go up. And I think, honestly, we should end up today, in my opinion, because, again, if it's true that Europe is actually looking to make concessions to lower tariff-related concerns, that's a super positive thing. And I don't know why the market would be down for it. But, markets are going to do what markets are going to do. I still am very bullish between now and the 2nd, and we'll see what happens if there's retaliatory tariffs. That's my biggest worry. And it sounds like one of my biggest worries, which was Europe, is not as big of a worry. And then there's China. China's the elephant in the room. We got to see what happens with that. But I don't know, man. I'm feeling pretty bullish heading into the weekend. I think that's what we should focus on. Again, go back to the beginning of the video where we go over all the Bitcoin-related stuff. James from Invest Answers has a bunch of really good ones too. Watch his latest video. But I'm feeling really positive. I think you should be too. It's up to you though. And again, I'll see you guys Monday, and otherwise I'll see you on X. And again, thank you to Susan and everybody else here. Love you guys, especially the people that contribute all the time. And I hope you sell a lot of doors there, Susan. And I will see you guys Monday. Worst case, okay?